We begin with breaking news.
Shots fired at Mahaney Park.
A CHP officer and 2 bystanders shot. One of those bystanders is dead. This happened during a hostage situation in Roseville. The suspected shooter has been taken into custody. This happened around 12:30 this afternoon on Pleasant Grove Boulevard and Wood Creek Oaks Boulevard near Mahaney Park. Roseville Police and California Highway Patrol hosted a news conference in the past hour giving us an update on the shooting.
And we learned CHP says one of their officers was serving a search warrant when the suspect took bystanders hostage, and one of those hostages was killed during that gunfire. We have team coverage on this shooting. We want to start with KCRA 3's Lizay Mitri. Lizay, what else did we learn in that news conference? It was pretty short.
It was very fast. It happened about an hour ago. Right now we are near the Roseville Aquatics Complex, very close to where that press conference happened. But basically, to sum it up, they said this all happened around 12:30. Roseville police said there was a CHP officer out here that was trying to serve an arrest warrant on a suspect. And then that CHP officer ended up calling for help, saying the suspect shot him. We heard from Roseville Police Captain Kelby Newton. He explained what happened next when his officers got to the scene. Take a listen.
Upon arrival, officers were confronted by the suspect, still carrying a gun and now seen running from officers on scene. Suspect began shooting as he was running from police and took 2 citizens hostage for a short time until officers arrived and confronted the suspect.
And this is the live view from near the Roseville Aquatics Complex. You can see police cars still out here. That suspect, once they confronted him that last time that you just heard the captain talk about, they say that suspect did surrender and he was then taken to the hospital. They also said that those 2 innocent citizens that the suspect took as hostages were hit by the suspect's gunfire. They said one of those people died at the scene and the other was taken to the hospital, but they have not provided any other information about who those people are or their conditions right now. They have also not named the suspect, just a lot of information that they aren't quite releasing at this point. We do know that the CHP officer, though, they said he was also taken to the hospital and he is in stable condition. Reporting live here from Roseville, Lizay Mitri, KCRA 3 News.
Glad that suspect's in custody, but not before doing a lot of damage. Lizay, thank you for the update. Let's go back to Live Copter 3 now and show you more from the scene, which is still an active crime scene investigation. You see the crime scene tape here. You see the CHP cruiser right there, that SUV to the left of your screen as we zoom out and show you the ball fields here at Mahaney Park. This is where that shooting took place that Lizay was just outlining for us, where that suspect took 2 hostages, 2 adults. That's all we know about them as far as their identity. Shooting both of them, killing one and sending one to the hospital, also shooting a CHP officer multiple times in the chest, the leg or foot region, and the hand. That CHP officer in stable condition. This is the bathroom in the middle of those 4 ball fields where you see an officer standing by just kind of protecting as they are doing evidence collecting and pursuing this investigation further. And just a really scary situation during the day. 12:30 in the afternoon, kids camps going on at the library and the fitness center nearby, and this is one of the pieces of equipment during that ball field that is left behind by bystanders who were running for their lives after shots rang out and people were telling them to disperse. So a very intense and scary situation for this neighborhood, for this community, this family-oriented part of Roseville that just loves their sports, they love their kids, and they love their schools. As we zoom out, we can show you just how close those neighborhoods really are to this crime scene. And we had heard from numerous witnesses that they heard those gunshots, they sheltered in place. Again, there was a kids camp going on. They had to shelter in place for a number of hours where parents were just scared, for their kids, and those kids have now been moved to an elementary school and released to their parents.
And we know, as you mentioned, this is right near a residential area and not too far from a business area where we know businesses actually lock down because of the fear that there might be a shooter that might come into their business. So again, this is an area that not only has a lot of kids and families, but also just folks grabbing lunch on their lunch break. As you can see, a lot of homes there as well. So certainly a scary situation. And again, we do know that a CHP officer has been shot, 2 innocent victims shot, 1 has died. The suspect is in custody, but a big perimeter here. Also, the scary part about this is that this was in a park. There's not a lot of places to hide here, especially when you're out in the open like this. So
that's a really good point.
That's one of the things that we're so thankful to know that this could have been so much worse. We don't know how many folks were at the park during the middle of the day, but you can presume that people are taking a walk, out, playing baseball, just enjoying the facilities there. And, this is a wide open space. We've seen in all directions here, law enforcement there working to collect evidence. And we see law enforcement from Roseville PD, also from Sacramento and Placer County sheriffs around this whole perimeter there. So certainly a big area where they're going to have to collect that evidence and detail exactly what happened. We have some cones out, likely some evidence markers. That's pretty typical in an investigation like this.
A lot we don't know, in addition to not knowing the condition of the people that were shot or their identities. We also don't know what led up to this, what kind of warrant was being served on this suspect. Were they on the highway and drove over here? Were they already in Roseville when they were approached by that CHP officer? So a lot leading up to this that we do not know details about, that we're going to know as this trickle of information comes in. There's just things that have to happen in order before we can get those answers, unfortunately. Of course, this area is very heavily populated, so there's a lot of folks that do want to figure out what happened in their backyards. And there's a lot of officers working on this. During that press conference, they were pretty tight to the vest about information. They did give us what they could at the time, but next of kin, of course, has to be notified first before we can learn any more about their identities. I want to switch gears and talk about the kids camp that was right across from these ball fields. Speaking of how much worse this could have gotten, I mean, this suspect took hostages, adults, which is awful enough, but can you imagine if he had gone into the parking lot here where there was kids, 30, 40 kids at a kids spring break camp, if he had taken those kids as hostage or taken that facility hostage. So not to draw a silver line where one doesn't exist, but thank goodness those kids on spring break were not involved in this any further than they already were.
But I think that's important to mention, Ty, because we see these scenarios where things could have been much worse. And we also, want to thank the law enforcement that showed up very quickly and got this situation under control as well. So again, a lot of factors at play here. But again, we are glad that, at least for the kids camp, where we know 30 or 40 kids were at, that they were transported to a local elementary school, now picked up by parents. We're happy to say that they are safe as well. So that is the silver lining, as you mentioned. Yeah, and we've got the supermarket, the Raley supermarket right there, where all those businesses were put on lockdown. So really this affected a lot of lives for a good few amount of hours here during the day. And we're now at the tail end of the investigation part, at least the preliminary investigation, where they have the suspect in custody. They've got everything as far as perimeter set up, and now they're just trying to piece this all together and find out exactly what happened. And we're still waiting to learn who this suspect is, who these innocent bystanders are, these poor folks that were caught up in this horrific shooting, and also learning any possible motives, and also the condition of that CHP officer and what unfolded, and learning more about their bravery during the situations they were trying to apprehend this suspect. Dozens of units from multiple agencies have been in this area for hours now. And KCRA 3's Michelle Bandura is on the ground. Michelle, you were one of the first reporters on the scene there. You've been there for several hours. What have folks been telling you? I know you spoke with someone who was actually there just playing baseball with his grandkids. What did he have to tell you?
Well, yeah, children actually witnessed this shooting here this afternoon on the baseball field, and that is the disheartening part about this. And the unfortunate part is that all of the innocent victims involved here, including those who weren't hit by bullets but had to see this. The grandfather told me there were about more than a dozen people out on the baseball field. There were some Little League folks there, and he was there with his grandson and his grandson's friend, 12 years old, just hitting balls around. But this is an active investigation here at Mahaney Park still. It will be closed down for quite a while. Crime scene tape surrounds the large area. We can see law enforcement officers on the other side of the baseball field where the shooting took place. And you did say I was one of the first reporters on scene here today, and photojournalist Brian Fogg captured some of the video of all of the massive police presence that was here earlier today with dozens and dozens of law enforcement vehicles. We saw SWAT team armored armored vehicles here as well. And we saw officers from Folsom, Roseville, Sacramento County Sheriff, Placer County Sheriff, all here assisting in this deadly shooting that took place here today. And also, as this was going on, of course, residents were coming out of their homes, people wanting to know what was going on, people who heard the gunshots. I talked to some residents earlier, and they heard the gunshots. Here's what they told me.
At first, I thought maybe it is gunshots, but there's no way, that doesn't happen around here. I figured it was someone working on a fence or some kind of construction. And I came out here and saw the cops and stopped and talked to one of the neighbors, and they said it was gunshots. So
I just kept hearing sirens for like 20 minutes straight, and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And I checked on the the Facebook groups, the Facebook groups, the Good Neighbors or whatever. I looked at it, it said active shooter, and I was like, what? Like out here, that's just like super, just like out of the norm. Like it's usually like a really good area, and like it's just too weird to hit this close to home. Like it's kind of sad, honestly. It's kind of sad.
So we should point out the video that you saw earlier was video taken from Brian, who is the grandfather, who was hunkered down in the dugout with his grandson and his grandson's friend. So that was the video that you saw. We do have video from earlier with that massive police presence, but just so you know, it's the video that the grandfather took while in the dugout, running for cover. I mean, they were running for their lives, as you can still see, hear him telling his grandkids to, his grandson and his friend, to stay down, because you could hear gunshots in that video. And again, it's just these people running for their lives as they heard the gunshots and saw this shooting take place here today with the officers and then the innocent victims. So it just really is talking to the witnesses, how so many more people could have been hurt with bullets whizzing by them as they were running for cover, running for their lives. This Mahaney Park here is going to be closed down for a while as they continue this investigation into the deadly shooting that happened here this afternoon. Reporting live in Roseville, Michelle Bandur, KCR. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
Just great report. I didn't mean to cut you off there. We're seeing the law enforcement still out there at Mahaney Park around the ball fields. We're seeing officers kind of posted and seems like protecting evidence. If you were to guess, what kind of evidence do you think that they're collecting out there right now as far as this ongoing investigation? Are they looking for bullet casings? Have you gotten a sense of what they're still doing out there as this perimeter is still up and definitely still active?
Yeah, well, just speaking from experience with officer-involved shootings, these investigations do take a bit longer when an officer fires their weapon. There's a lot of protocols and procedures that have to be followed as far as an investigation. So there will be different investigations going on here, of course. The crime scene investigation with an officer firing weapons. Then you have that internal investigation as to, were they justified in shooting their weapons here. So there's a couple different investigations taking place here. And so this is going to take a bit longer. Of course, they'll be looking for the shell casings. They're going to have to figure out how many officers fired their weapons, how many bullets did the suspect shoot, what kind of weapons were there. So there's all that kind of evidence. And also, talking to the witnesses, they left their belongings behind. So they also have to go through all the belongings that were here. The grandfather, Brian, he told me his wallet is out there on the baseball field somewhere. So, they're going to be sorting through all the equipment that we've seen on the field, as well as what they're going to need to preserve in the investigations that are taking place here today. Because again, this is an officer-involved shooting with officers firing their weapons. So that is a whole separate investigation that will be taking place here to see if these officers were justified in the shooting here today and exactly, what happened and what went down. So I know they are going to be out here for quite a while. That's what I was told earlier by officers. So again, we do want to point out that Pleasant Grove Boulevard is open. There's a lot of traffic here, but no one is allowed inside this park or around the park. You cannot get in. It is wrapped around by crime scene tape and a lot of officers protecting the perimeter here.
And Michelle, we want to thank you so much for getting not only that video, but also all of that sound with witnesses, because that really helps us piece together the story of what happened, is hearing from eyewitnesses right there on the ground. So we want to thank you so much for getting those details. And as she mentioned, this is an intricate, you have two separate investigations, right? So you have a lot of details, a lot of intricacies, a lot of small details in terms of gathering that evidence and that information. investigation. So we're still waiting to learn more, expecting to learn more from Roseville Police, hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow. So just we'll keep pressing them for more information to inform the public. But again, we do know that the area is safe. We know a lot of businesses in the area went into lockdown or closed as all of this was going on. Yeah, KCRA 3's Maricela de la Cruz spoke with witnesses in that business area of this mixed use part of Roseville. Maricela, what did you hear from witnesses?
Yeah, as that investigation was ongoing right across the street at Mahaney Park, well, this was the area where a lot of people, a lot of parents were just getting together and really trying to find out what was happening in those summer camps, if their children were in danger. You know, there were a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. Parents were shaken. They were very concerned about what exactly was happening as this investigation was developing. I spoke to a few parents. They were really scared. Some of them were in contact with their children through text messages, phone calls about them being in lockdown as they were playing sports in there. Others, you know, like a mother that I spoke to was telling me, you know, she has a 9-year-old daughter out here, didn't have any way to get in touch with her. So she found out about what was happening about this investigation as she arrived to pick her up at the time that she usually does from the summer camp. So let's go ahead and listen to that mother.
I'm nervous. My heart is racing. It's scary to hear that there was a shooting where your child is at, because anything could happen at any point. You know, you think your kids are safe, and usually they are, but you just never know nowadays.
And as we arrived, you know, this part of the boulevard was closed off to traffic. It was also closed off to residents in the area. So we did see a couple of people eating at these restaurants, even some employees in the area who were talking about how scared they were. Some of them heard some noises and had to even lock down for about an hour. Let's go ahead and listen to Stevie, who works at a local smoke shop.
I've never heard of anything like that happening around here, so that's very new, something to keep your eyes peeled on. I'm feeling all right now. I'm just happy that they caught it, that everything's kind of settled down a little bit. You know, my prayers go out to anybody who got hurt. I'm glad they got the shooters.
Now, Stevie was telling me that his father actually works at the Raley's, which is next door, and his father called him and told him that they were in a lockdown at Raley's. So that's when he decided to also lock the store and just go to the back and hide, because he really was scared about what was happening, not knowing really anything, and seeing all that police activity, the roads blocked out here. That was what was really frightened him. And, you know, a lot of people out here, some residents who were saying they also heard the gunshots and were not really exactly sure about what was happening. So we're now live in Roseville. Maricela de la Cruz, KCRA 3 News.
And the ripple effect from something like that, you could just get a sense of how anxiety filled that must have been for anybody just in that general area. And I can't help but think about what that mother said. You just don't know nowadays in reference to the safety of her child. And it's just so unfortunate that is the reality that we're all living in right now. It doesn't matter if you're in a suburb like Roseville, in a very family oriented, seemingly safe neighborhood, which for the most part it is if you're looking at crime statistics. But it doesn't matter where you live. You got to be aware that these things are happening, and it's unfortunate and it's sad. This is just an example of that reality that we all have to live in, and the trauma that it can cause to our little ones and just to our families. Yeah, I think this affects the whole family, right? It affects patrons of businesses. It affects people who work in the area. I mean, of course, whenever your safety is in question, you're going to be concerned. You're going to be on that heightened alert. So it totally makes sense that we saw some of these businesses and programs, spring break programs, go into lockdown mode, because you really can't be too sure when you hear that there is a shooter out there. And I think also that mother mentioned that she downloaded some sort of app for scanner traffic to be able to listen in. You know, it's things like that. Same scanners that we listen to here in the news business. Same scanners that we listen to try and just get information and to be ahead of what's next, you know. So it's understandable, and we can understand certainly the panic and the fear that's out there. Yeah, and it can be overwhelming, and so, you know, we're here for our viewers, trying to make sense of information that we're getting from the powers that be. We will continue to follow this breaking news throughout our evening newscasts and into tonight, of course.